How you doing, everybody? I'm Tony Gaglione.
I'm Shawn Adams.
And this is
Smack Talk. Today is day 17, World Cup. We had two more knockout stage games today. We're going to start with the semi-boring one first. That would be Costa Rica versus Greece.
Wasn't that boring?
It was boring. It was boring.
Did I fall asleep during the game?
You fell asleep during the game.
I guess it was kind of boring.
Yes, I took a shower during the game. After there was a single goal scored, I definitely took a shower. That single goal was scored by Brian Ruiz in the 56th minute. Up until that point, it had been a drab affair, very lackluster. Each team, they made chances, but the final balls weren't good, or the shots were right at the goalie or skying over the net.
Yeah, it's always fun to see these teams come through the group stage, but when they get matched up each other in the knockout round, it makes for, a big disappointment, it seems like, every time. I think if Costa Rica or Greece would have drawn a Netherlands or a Belgium or a type team like that in the knockout round, it would have been a much more exciting game, but it seems like both teams were content in playing defense.
Yeah, just sitting back and
passing the ball
around. Greece did end up scoring in the 90-plus first minute. However, prior to that, in the 66th minute, Oscar Duarte got a second yellow card, giving him a red. So Costa Rica was forced to play with 10 men, and they had the victory in hand. It was in injury time, and
Papadopoulos.
No, Socrates scored the goal.
Socrates?
So yeah, Papadopoulos was there, but Socrates scored. It was a Mitroglou shot. It was rebounded out. Novice there, just rebounded, and it fell right in front of him, and there's nobody in net.
But the reason why that Greece had the opportunity to score that goal is because Costa Rica, even though they had 10 men, had no sense of urgency when they had the ball. So they would go and they would pass the center line, and then they would just bomb it into the Greece
instead
area.
Of being smart.
Yeah, go into the corner or at least trying to hold possession.
Exactly.
They're just handing them possession every time they cross the center line, and Greece was on attack for the entire, stoppage time, and even for 20 minutes before that.
Now, without reading you the final of the score, it went into extra time. It ended at 1-1. If I read you these stats, I want you to tell me the team that won this game.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that complicated.
Costa Rica had 7 shots, 1 on target. Greece had 23 shots, 8 on target.
Yep.
Costa Rica had 22 fouls. Greece had 16. Costa Rica had 3 corners. Greece had 11. Costa Rica was offside once. Greece was offside 10 times. Costa Rica had 40% possession. Greece had possession 60% of the time. 4 yellow cards for Costa Rica and 1 red. 2 yellow cards, 0 red for Greece. 7 saves by Costa Rica, 0 for Greece. So who would have won that game?
It should have been 6-1.
It should have been 6-1 in favor of Greece,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It did not. It went to penalties. And Costa Rica won 5-3 on penalties. It'll be Costa Rica's first ever quarterfinal appearance in their history. This is as far as they'd ever gotten it. Now they made it one group further. They'll play the Netherlands on Saturday.
Yeah, and just so you know, neither goalie, they might as well have been shooting at an open net during the penalty shootout.
Yeah, Navas did make one save. The key save was made by Navas. Who had a better penalty possession?
The other 8 goals, the goalie dove the opposite direction.
Yeah, or was dove and the ball was
went
high.
right down the middle.
High Costa Rica ended up playing for almost an hour with 10 men. An hour. If me and Tony played 2-on-1 versus my son for an hour in soccer, eventually we're going to score. No matter how valiant of an attempt my 5-year-old makes. Eventually, we're going to score. That's what I'm liking this to. When you have an advantage, if you play basketball 5-on-4 for an hour, the other team...
You're probably going to have a 30-point lead.
You're going to win the game. Greece had excellent crosses in the box. They had great opportunities.
And they either went over the net, to the side of the net, or they were blocked.
Right at the goalie. Yeah.
There was one specific opportunity at the end of extra time where they had a 5-on-2 breakaway.
5-on-2. So literally, for those of you who don't know soccer, a 5-on-2 is literally where you just pass the ball around while running forward to get the goalie not knowing where it goes to, and one guy takes a one-timer. What they ended up doing was passing it one time to one guy. He ran forward and shot. So it allows the goalie to position himself, watch the guy shoot.
Well, it doesn't help that the 5 guys are running together down the field at the distance between my fingers. Like, I mean, nobody's spread out. Nobody's looking for a pass. They're all running down the center of the field.
Yeah.
Right in front of the two defenders.
If you're slick when you get that width and you pass it one direction, you keep running, he passes it wide, and then you through ball it in, and then you got the tap in.
It could have been the easiest goal in this World Cup.
Yes, could have been. It wasn't.
Instead, the shot that he did take, by the way, went right at the goalie's hands. The goalie didn't even have to dive, even though he did dive because goalies dive for everything. But it went right at his hand.
All right, so that sums it up for the competitive action of the game. It went to penalties, which is a shame because Greece should not have went to penalties. It shouldn't even have went to extra time because Costa Rica should have hung on. The stats would have been a lot less because like 15 of those Greek shots were in extra time.
Yeah, the Greek manager got kicked off the pitch, sent off just before the penalty kicks shootout, which was the first penalty kick shootout in Greece's history in competitive play.
Yeah, first ever. He's just retired.
He didn't retire. He didn't retire from Greece
quitting.
team. His contract is up, and he was talking to some other countries now.
Yeah, and he basically said he was leaving the Greece team after the World Cup. Well, then he's yelling at the ref, and the ref's like, eventually the ref's just like, dude, leave.
Yeah, the ref just kind of looked at him while he was yelling, and Greeks are like Italians; they talk with their hands, so he's like. For like 20 minutes, that's all you see. And then him grabbing his head like this. But whatever he said must have pissed off the Aussie ref because he was like...
Yeah, he's like, get out. So he had to leave. So Costa Rica got to take their penalties first. So this is not much drama because like Tony said, every penalty pretty much went in. Borges stepped up, slotted it home. Mitroglou stepped up, slotted it home. Ruiz stepped up, slotted it home. Christodopoulos.
Wait.
Christodopoulos.
Wait. He also scored. Gonzalez came up next.
Yep. Slotted it home.
He scored. Chilavis.
Davis.
He scored.
And then
Umani, or whatever.
Campbell went.
Oh, Campbell.
Yeah, but they messed up because they thought it was Diaz.
That's right.
The only other black dude on the Costa Rican team.
Is that racist or what?
They're like, oh, Diaz steps up, and then we're like, I wrote down Diaz on my list because we're keeping track of it. And then it shows the back of the jersey, and I was like, that's Joel Campbell. That's not Diaz. I had to scratch it out.
Which, by the way, had the best penalty kick of the penalty kicks that went in. There was a lot of shuffling and a lot of faking out the goalie and
then run up slowly and just tap because the goalie went the wrong direction.
Of course.
And then Gikas stepped up, and Gikas with the 7-time broken nose.
Geek, you're an ass.
He shot it just like every other Greek player shot it, except Navas knew it was coming this time.
Yeah, because they all went to the left top shelf.
Yeah. And Navas made the save, so that put it at 4-3. So with the next kick, Costa Rica was going to the quarterfinals, and Umana probably took the longest stare at the ref ever. When the ref blew the whistle, he's just like...
They couldn't find the ball, too. That
was classic. Penalty shootout, no ball.
Is it just me, or did Navas look like he was having a freaking seizure before the thing? Because he would go like this before every penalty kick. Oh, my God. I was trying not to laugh.
Speaking of Navas. Normally you see a goalie get injured in a game when they're winning, and it's like minor. Navas must have got injured like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
To milk the clock.
It was, it's
one of them was a nick on the knee, and it wasn't even it's like
I don't even think he touched him, and he's grabbing his knee like he just tore his ACL, MCL, and meniscus all together. Like it was ridiculous.
And then they sprayed
the special spray, which I had to look up. By the way, it's the same things that they use when you get hit by a pitch in baseball, which I know what that feels like, and it doesn't do anything.
It just numbs you.
It's
just
supposed to numb you.
It's really cold. That's
aerosol icy hot.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, aerosol icy hot cures torn ligaments in the knee. Yeah. All that I know is when I got hit on the arm and I got sprayed that stuff, it didn't do nothing.
Every soccer injury that is not a broken leg, aka Aaron Ramsey, is cured by
magic spray
Magic.
and a
The
stretcher
Jordan
off the
juice.
field.
Yeah,
As long as they get stretchered 25 yards off the field, they're able to get back up and go into the game and hop before they go in too. Like it's pretty exciting.
Back up. So yeah, Umana, after finding the mysterious magic ball that disappeared, which is interesting because it's a penalty shootout. It should be one
the
ball.
ball should be on the spot.
He slots it home, so Costa Rica then celebrates, and then the Greek players, they try to give Geekus,
So
solid consolidation for.
Now that we've basically torn apart this game, I would just want to say that Smack Talk's bracket is now 3 for 3 after that game.
Yep.
And let's get into the game.
It was kind of narrowly going to go.
Let's get into the game that actually was fun to watch.
Yeah, the Mexico versus Holland or Netherlands. This game was very cool.
I was tired during this game, but it kept me awake.
Netherlands had 14 shots on goal, 8 on target. Mexico had 12 with 7 on target. Netherlands had 8 fouls. Mexico had 12. Netherlands did have 10 corners. They did have a lot of corners. It looked like in this game. It seemed like 30.
I felt like Netherlands had 75% possession in this game.
And they had 55.
55. Yeah, 55-45, which is basically 50-50.
Yeah, Mexico only had 2 corners. They were both only offside 1 time apiece, which is very interesting, especially for Aaron Robin. Mexico did have 3 yellow cards. Most of those were late.
Yeah, and Ochoa continued to pull some golden horseshoes out of his ass and make some pretty amazing saves in this game. He held Mexico in this thing for
a lot, most of the game. Mexico pressed early and often. There was a 9th-minute injury to Nigel de Jong, and they subbed in Dirk Kuyt, who ended up playing like 4 or 5 positions by the time they were done.
It was weird.
They rotated formation. Mexico pressed early and often, and Mexico looked the most dangerous team. Oribe Peralta looked like Lionel Messi keeping the ball at his feet, dribbling through people.
Yeah.
So did Herrera, and who was the other guy?
He actually had
Juliano or whatever. The guy on the left back was just like
I don't know,
wazzling and dazzling Dirk Kuyt for a long time.
There was at one point that Peralta put a shot in between 2 Netherlands defensemen that the goalie just had no clue the ball was even going to come, so it surprised the living hell out of him. Luckily, it was right at him, so he was able to make the save. However, Giovanni Dos Santos in the 48th minute had a rocket shot that went by. I don't even know. They got Tim Krul, they got Michael Vorm, and they got this guy. And they got this guy starting.
Schilling.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know his name.
Yeah, the Giovanni Dos Santos shot should not have gone into the net. Should have been saved. But like Tony said, he was so unaware that Giovanni Dos Santos was going to shoot. It was Mexico's first goal from outside the box all tournament, which is not speaking much because they scored 1 against Cameroon and 3 against Croatia. But it should have been 3 against Cameroon. But again, the refs screw over Mexico. They were getting fouls. Like Netherlands was like doing the same thing to Mexico. Mexico was doing, except Mexico was getting called for the fouls. Yeah, which was making Mexican players mad.
Yeah. Wouldn't it make you mad?
Well, considering Mexico's tournament and all the ref calls that they've had.
Yeah, they got kind of screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're eliminated now. They don't have to worry about bad refs.
Yeah, they got... Okay, so they're winning all the way until the 88th minute of the game. 1-0. And at this point, Netherlands had like 500 corners already.
Yeah.
And Ochoa had made some great saves.
Mm-hmm.
The defense had made some great saves, some great blocks.
Mm-hmm.
They got a little lax in the last 5 minutes, and the onslaught came, except this time on one of those corners.
It was headed out to Snyder.
And Snyder put a bullet.
Yeah. The
worst part about it is like the ball dropped where Snyder was, and nobody else on Mexico's defense was in front of him. Yep. So it was just like an open piece of the net, not a piece, like
half of it.
The open half.
Not to mention
Snyder.
Yeah, not to mention the ball's going like 90 miles an hour off his freaking foot. It was like a missile. I mean, Ochoa, there was nothing he can do.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he dove at it, which he didn't even bother.
He probably didn't even know it was coming until it was already in the back of the net.
That's true. The net had like an explosion look when it hit. Like it was.
Yeah, it was a rocket shot. So that tied the game 1-1. And just when you think, you know Mexico's crushed by that because they're winning the game, right?
Yeah.
So you get 5 minutes of stoppage time because they had the 3-minute water breaks in this game. One at the 30th minute, one at the 7th minute. So we played 4 minutes extra time at the end of the first half, which is really only a minute of extra time because you had a 3-minute break. And this one we had 5 minutes extra time, which is really only 2 minutes of extra time because there was a 3-minute water break. And in the 90-plus third minute, Aaron Robin drives to the back line and flops for like the third or fifth,
it was the third time.
Yeah, like the 8th time.
The only thing about this one is that I could have said that the first one was a penalty, even though he sold it, so it was a flop also. The second one, he didn't even get touched.
No, it was just a flop.
And it was just a flop. This one, he was falling down before there was contact. There was contact.
But it was like the most minuscule amount of contact.
Yeah. And another thing was that I felt like the Mexican defenders thought the ball was going out. And he held it on the end line right there. And so they stopped for a second. And then they're like, oh, crap. And so he tries to cut back. And he got a little nick on the foot or whatever.
But he was already falling because he slipped trying to come back in.
He might as well have done a double backflip.
Yeah, he put his hands up. He's like, to the ground.
Face. Purposely eat some grass.
And the ref, the thing is where the ref was, he did see the Mexican defender, Rafi Marquez, put out his boot, who got a card for this. Put out his boot, saw the flop, literally, that's how you know it wasn't a penalty, because there was no forward momentum. It was just face down.
He went straight up in the air and then straight
pointed
down.
At the spot. So in the 90 plus 4th minute, the 94th minute of the game, literally with like 30 seconds to play, a minute and 30 seconds to play, Klaas June Huntelaar, who was subbed in for Robin Van Persie, who Tony said they were losing at the time. Tony said that was a mistake. Because at the time they were losing, so it didn't look good.
It didn't look good. However, they brought in Huntelaar and they brought in Memphis Depay. And I think Memphis Depay kind of controlled the left side.
Yeah.
They were kind of worried about his speed over there.
Huntelaar slotted it home, and Ochoa went the wrong way. You can't stopping a penalty is the hardest thing to do in sports because you have to actually react prior to the shot just based on the speed of the ball.
Yeah, you're basically guessing the whole time. It's a 100% guess.
Well, another thing, too, is even if you had studied the penalty takers for the team, like Van Persie, Robin, neither of those guys were the guy taking the penalties. Huntelaar, who is a great penalty taker. So they added a little bit of time, after this goal. But literally, Mexico had like one chance. And, of course, you lob the ball forward, and it didn't work out. So Mexico gets eliminated.
2-1. 2-1.
Which keeps the Smack Talk bracket 4 for 4.
4 for 4 now.
4 for 4. We're pretty
going
good.
into tomorrow's games.
Going into tomorrow's games.
Well,
hold on. Before we go into tomorrow's games.
Yeah, Herrera, the Mexican coach, said the ref invented fouls during the game. So I would imagine he's not very happy right now.
He also said that when they bring in these European and Asian and African referees, that eventually these teams are going to be refereeing somebody from their federation, and there was no CONCACAF referees designated for any of these semifinal games. There was one, a Mexican referee.
That's very interesting.
So he's saying that, like, you know, these guys can't be refereeing from the same federation. There's got to be a rule that says, like,
I agree.
If it's an all Canemball match, well, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a Canemball ref.
Yeah.
Because it's an all Canemball. But when it's a CONCACAF versus European, put a Canemball ref in there. Or put an African ref in there. Don't put a European ref in, because that's what they did.
I agree 100%. And a lot of times, especially, players know those refs. And they know what they like to call. So let's talk, like Howard Webb yesterday. English or EPL refs normally don't call those flops.
No,
they don't. It's a let them play mentality. Yeah. It's a little more rough, black and blue league.
They'll also give cards for diving.
Yeah.
Which is something this ref didn't, because if he'd have give Robin a flop for the second one, the first one's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Right. You caution him. You give him a yellow card. He's not diving anymore in the game.
No.
But because you let him do it the first time, you let him do it the second time. He knows. Hey.
Exactly, and then you have referees from Spain that ref in La Liga, and that's all they see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not down in La Liga.
No, but they nick him and they call a foul.
Yeah. And
so,
the guy, he flops over and it's a card.
Yeah.
So you don't know, and I mean, you don't know what you're gonna get with each ref, but you when you know the referee and he's reffed your games before, you know what he's gonna call.
And the thing about this that makes it very disturbing for Mexico fans, for soccer fans in general, is that Aaron Robin is known for diving. He's known more than Suarez or Bale or anyone else. Aaron Robin, has been doing this his whole career.
Yeah.
It's the same face. It's the double hands up, mouth open. I just got kicked so hard, my children are gonna die. And it's ridiculous because sometimes it's a strategy, right? You dive, you draw the contact, you try to act it out. But when you embellish every single time you get touched in the box, it gets old. And that's what it's gotten. Because, like, okay, if
Gets old
Bale,
after the first time he does it.
know what I mean? Like somebody like Gareth Bale who's flopped before, right? But if he gets calmed down and he just goes down and he might have dived, right? But he doesn't do the whole embellishment. You kind of say, okay, he's a diver. That's what he does. But when you do what Robin does over and over again, it's like, dude, come on. And the Mexican players, let
me put it this way, okay? How many goals? This is a two-part question. Okay, so just answer them really quickly.
Okay.
How many goals go in off of 10 shots?
0. Off of 10 shots.
10 shots on target.
Oh, probably 1.
Probably 1, maybe even 2 or 3, depending on who's taking the shots.
Yeah.
Okay. How many penalties do you see in 10 games?
In 10 games, probably see 3 or 4.
Probably see 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You see more than 10 shots in one game. So what I'm trying to say is that if Aaron Robin just shows his strength a little bit, and actually takes a shot on target, he's got a better chance of scoring that goal than
winning the
somebody winning. Yes, the ref calling him the penalty.
That's right. Yeah, and Aaron Robin's a good player too. And you know what's funny?
Yeah, it's not like he can't shoot the ball.
You felt like he got a little frustrated because he kept trying to get to that left foot, and then he couldn't get a shot, so he passed it to Snyder, who would sky the ball early. He kind of got frustrated. Then he started the flopping and stuff like that. And the thing about this is that Mexico is they played a great game. They played a great game. Costa Rica won. Mexico screwed me out of $2,000. I had a parlay that would have won $2,000 today if it wasn't for that. But hey, what can you do? The one thing I want to say is with Costa Rica's win and Mexico's loss, CONCACAF record, North American Federation, North American, Central American, Oceanic, whatever. Their record is now 6 wins, 3 draws, and 5 losses. That is their best record showing in a World Cup ever. And the U.S. has still got to play a game. So barring the U.S. doesn't lose, it could go to 7 wins.
Yeah, and Costa Rica's still got to play now.
Yeah, Costa Rica's going to play. Well, Costa Rica's going to make it 6 losses for sure. Because Costa Rica, they would have to.
Shut up, man. We want to hope for this.
No, I would hope that they do. But I mean, Costa Rica, the way they played today, they look like they'll get outclassed.
Yeah, I think so.
Because the Netherlands just had a bad game. It's not like they played this game like when they played Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they could come out and destroy Costa Rica. Costa Rica could come out and make it a scrappy game. Who knows?
Let's talk about 2 more games that are basically going to be teams getting outclassed.
Yeah, tomorrow morning, France versus Nigeria in the morning, 9 a.m. France, probably the best European team. All in all, they haven't had any flopping, no diving, nothing like that. They've scored more goals. Well, Netherlands has now scored more goals than anybody else because they played an extra game. But Nigeria looked dangerous in their group. But I think France wins this game 3-1. I think Karim Benzema ties up, either hits 2 or goes up to 4 in the Golden Boot race. I think he's got 1 for sure.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I have it at 2-0 just because I think France's defense and midfield is actually pretty damn good. So I don't think Nigeria is going to score. I think if they do score, they're going to get lucky on some fast lob ball over the top.
Yeah.
The second game we got here is Germany and Algeria, which is the late game.
The memories of 1982. Algeria was eliminated by Germany in the same stage. It was like the last time Algeria was relevant.
No, because Algeria has never been through the group stage in the World Cup.
The current format.
Oh, I see. Okay.
In '82, it was a different format.
All right.
Algeria was beat by Germany, and they were a good Algerian team.
Let's hear your ridiculous score.
I've got it 6-0 for Germany. I'm just saying.
Not baseball.
I've got no faith in Algeria's team.
It's not baseball.
It's Germany, man. Germany played in the rain. When they played in the rain against the U.S., who's a scrappy team, and they still won 1-0. If it's dry, sunny weather, I don't know where they're playing. I think they're playing at Belo Horizonte or Salvador or whatever. If it's sunny, Algeria doesn't stand a chance. Slimani, Faraguli, Barami, these guys, they might get some shots, but I'm predicting like the Costa Rica stats: 7 shots, 1 on target, 23 for Germany, and 16 on target.
Absolutely wrong. I think Algeria puts up good performance. I think they even score first, and then they park the bus.
Okay.
They score first, and they park the bus, but Germany still wins 2-1 in
He's
extra
He's got
time.
it in extra time. That's not happening. It's not happening. Oh, just so you guys know, in our
Can I
predictions
call an
yesterday-
upset? For Christ's sake.
That's not an upset. Extra time's an upset.
That's an upset.
It's not going extra time, Tony.
Well, I'm trying.
Well, the thing is, just so we say this, because neither of us can boast, because both of us predicted we had a 3-2 Netherlands victory over Mexico. We had different storylines, but it was a 1-goal margin for the Netherlands.
Mine was
Netherlands
closer.
Netherlands
'Cause
scoring
I said
late.
Mexico
Netherlands
would score first.
I said Netherlands would win late. Yeah, but Germany, Algeria. The 6-0, I'm just throwing out there. It's 4-0, 3-0. I'm going to call myself right. But in the Costa Rica Greece game, we were very correct when we both said a 0-0 draw. I was going to extra time.
Wait.
Costa Rica wins.
I even said it's a 1-1 draw going to extra time and Costa Rica wins. However, I had Costa Rica scoring a goal.
Yeah.
But I didn't know they'd be down to 10 men the whole time. So maybe if they had that extra guy, they would have scored.
I doubt it.
Either way, Costa Rica won.
Costa Rica won.
CONCACAF.
So if we got a France and Germany victory, our bracket will be 6 for 6 out of 8 games.
You know what? These are the two teams that we look like they're going to win the easiest.
They're both gonna lose.
One of them's going down.
They're both gonna lose.
you don't get that happy-go-lucky crap.
I want to see a France versus Germany semifinal or a quarterfinal. So
One of those teams going down tomorrow.
no, I don't think so.
Yep. One of them's going down.
I know we promised you guys African Confederations All-Star team, but we're gonna do that sometime later this week. We could only get like 6 players at this point in time off the top of our heads.
Yep.
So we're gonna have to do a little bit more research. Plus, we were too interested in watching Costa Rica Greece put us to sleep.
I did fall asleep.
He fell asleep, and then he woke up, and he goes, "Wait, did I miss something?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's 1-0 Costa Rica. They got 10 men now." And he's confused. I'm like,
When I fell asleep, it was like the 48th minute, just coming out of halftime, and I was like...
And 4 minutes later, 5 minutes later, they scored. Yeah.
All I heard was the announcer going, Sopolis, Opolis, Sacropolis, Papadopoulos, pass it over to Karopoulos, Lopolis, Labalabalabulus.
Mitro.
Oh, yeah. There's one guy without the S.
Socrates.
Everybody's name ends with an S.
Yeah, Samaras, Giorgio Samaras. Oh, who, by the way, had that excellent flick on that the dude stabbed at the goalie's feet late in the game.
I want to know why Greece didn't know they were going to lose if they have Socrates. That's what I'm saying.
One thing I want to say about Joel Campbell, he's good for 90 minutes.
Yeah, and then he runs out of gas.
Then he runs out of gas and he looks like dog poo.
Dude.
Literally, he just stands on the field. He just stands on the field.
One last thing, speaking of poo.
Yeah, he discovered.
We're gonna talk about
useless information. He discovered a 50,000-year-old piece of poop from humans. Neanderthal people didn't just eat meat, ladies and gentlemen. They had veggies in their diet. I want to know how a piece of poop survives for 50,000 years. Okay, because wait a minute. When you're digging through dirt,
Lionel Messi survived for about 30 already, so
when you're digging through dirt. When you're just, what makes you go, oh, that's a piece of poop from ancient times? Because I would just be like, oh, that's like some animal crapped here years ago. Toss it in the dirt. No, somebody saves it and they test it, and it's human poop. It's early man poop at the time. I want to know. The thing is like the shape. That's a healthy dookie.
You can Google it. It's on Facebook and everything. It's terrible.
I'm Shawn Adams.
Can't believe I just heard that.
It's a healthy dookie. Who are you?
I'm Tony Gagley. And that was a good shot.
Save the dookie, save the world.